mental health in the African diaspora. Social disparities and racism has exacerbated the overall health of the BIPOC community. We are a group of mental health professionals, advocates, and holistic practitioners uniting together to bring holistic and Afro-centered solutions to Black and Brown communities, to promote health and wellness solutions to our communities, to increase wellness in our relationships, finances, sexuality, and overall well-being. Join us. Tune in beginning October 1st. Let's take the journey together.
Welcome. My name is Asha Sims, and I am a licensed clinical mental health therapist. I am a holistic wellness practitioner, sensual arts educator, yoga, energy practitioner. I am an integrated mental health therapist. In my approach to modalities that I use a lot of complementary alternative modalities, but most important, my motivation in what I do and teach and share is how to integrate ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. So today's conversation, we're going to talk about health. We're going to talk about our mental health, our physical health, and our sexual health. And today's conversation, I'm going to call it conversation. We're going to have tea time and talk today. And this is addressed to the women, particularly my women of color. Now, if there are any divine masculine energy that decides to partake in this workshop and hear what I have to say, it is equally important that you understand what is occurring within the community amongst our women. So thank you for taking your time to hear what I have to say. And hopefully that this conversation will trigger some things to yourself about what is occurring in our community and what's happening. So as we're going to talk about our health, the plight of the African-American women and our connection to our sexual health. As a mental health counselor, I'm seeing a lot within the women of issues with relationships, issues with our sexual expression, our sexual identity, not feeling fulfilled, therefore in life, not having fulfillment. So one of the questions that I do start out in my clinical assessments, I ask the question of, are you having orgasms? And of course, many look at me and first don't understand why I'm even asking this question. Then two, many are having to pause to even think about the answer. Often I say that pause is too long. I kind of know the answer. But in that awareness to think about, am I? Or when was the last time? Or why? Or what's going on? So this conversation is really when we talk about mind, body, and spirit. And as you hear me speak, I'm often going to use certain terminologies referencing to energy, chakra centers. A lot of my work and my background as a holistic clinician is I incorporate metaphysical knowledge in my course, in my practice. And that means getting to the root of the issue. What is really occurring? Not the symptoms, not just the physical symptoms, but what all is occurring mentally, physically, and spiritually that is manifesting possibly in physical blockages. So within that, before we even think about the physical blockages, we have to talk about the mindset. And even when we talk about sexual energy and having orgasms, often we disconnect and not thinking that they're all correlated from your mind, your body, and your spiritual health. And it's very key because our sexual health is our life force energy. It's what brought us into this world. It's what keeps us energized. So even according to Chinese medicine, your sexual energy is your qi. It flows through your kidneys. If your sexual energy, your libido energy is low, then your life force energy is low. So we have to go back and look at what is occurring amongst the women in our community when it comes to our sexual health. One, we have to go back and really acknowledge of the trauma that has occurred that has impacted our DNA. We come from a history of where we were made to feel shame of our bodies. We were often used as income within the slave trade due to our sexual abilities, or passing around, or from the masters bringing children through us. All of this, not including love, all of this being forced in an unsafe environment. So therefore, what has occurred? Our wombs have picked up genetic imprints of not feeling safe. And not saying that all our DNA and ancestral lineage have had this occur, but it is a major imprint in history. Therefore, it is a major imprint in our bodies, in our wombs. So we have to go back to reclaim who we are, our feminine energy, our divineness, and understand that all that we do has to be done with a certain mindset now of wholeness in order to be healthy. If we only address one aspect of life and leave the other areas in balance, we'll always be on this constant feeling uneven, out of alignment. So when we look at this and understand that there has been a disconnection, before we can even get into what has occurred, is connecting with what is occurring. So, ladies, I asked the question to think about even before we start exploring things. It's asking yourself, when was the last time you had fun? When was the last time you had pleasure and joy? Really think about that. Just real fun, pleasure, joy, laughter. Also, think about the last time you just felt free. You were able to surrender, not trying to control things, not trying to make sure things were okay, but just allowing things to be. This is what happens sometimes when we don't feel safe, which also can come into the whole aspect of our sexual health, our sexual energy. So this is where we're going to talk a little deeper. We're going to go into what energy is first and understand the metaphysics in the womb, how powerful it is. Because what is occurring when we disconnect from our bodies begin to alert us, trying to communicate, because due to our history and due to the trauma, we've had a lot of disconnections from our body. African-American women are more prone, according to research, to have more issues with obesity, stress, high blood pressure. We're now seeing a lot larger influx in hysterectomies, issues with our menstrual cycles, imbalances, fibroids, which is more common in African-American women as well. So this is our body's way of saying, hello, something's going on, I'm trying to talk to you. Because understanding the beings that we are, our bodies are our physical hold of what is occurring internally, which is our soul, our spirit, our inner selves, however you choose to acknowledge it. So either way, there's a disconnect. So what happens is when the body is at a point that it can no longer maintain and contain some of the things that is occurring in a healthy way, we get warnings. Our body's like ache, your knee, joint, stiffness is communicating. Do we listen? No. In our mind, we may say, my knee is hurting, and keep it moving. I have bad cramps. They're lasting longer, and keep it moving. There's a disconnect. So within that disconnect, we begin to have physical symptoms, whether it results and shows up as infertility, ongoing STDs, pH imbalances, menstrual issues. That is your body is saying, okay, something's going on. But not knowing how to connect it all, sometimes we just push it away, hope it goes away. And then it becomes a bigger problem in other areas. So what is happening? All these physical symptoms, if you're having them or not, because at the end of the day, a lot of illnesses that come from imbalances start before it even gets to a physical. So what we're talking about in my approach also is we're dealing with things in the physical. We're dealing with things in energetic, and we're also dealing with ancestral blockages or traumas, which often causes many to disassociate. We have to stay out of our heads. We disconnect from our bodies. You think going back to the past of slavery, some of the sexual abuse that occurred then and still does, they had to leave. They cannot physically remain in their body to continue to do that. Even with slavery, the physical labor, it was so physical that sometimes in their minds, they had to leave. So this is something that has become, it is a disorder in the mental health diagnosis, disassociation that comes with trauma. But it also was a way of survival. So now with all these things that occur to our bodies and the traumas, which is what I would talk more about, our energy centers in the root chakra, feeling safe and secure. It is impacting our ability to feel, our ability to connect with our womb, our emotions and relationships, as well as our sexual energy. So this disconnection is causing issues with our life force energy, and what is occurring in our womb is some blockages and imbalances. So let me talk a little bit about when I say energy and chakra centers. We have 7 primary energy centers that align our body. Nothing physical, energy. We have energy that flows through us. Some of us may call it God, higher self, science, basic energy. Anything living and breathing and operating has energy, from the trees to the bugs to the plants. So understanding that basic law of nature of understanding this energy source that flows through us is what keeps us connected. Now we have many energy centers, but we're going to talk about the 7 primary. And primarily, I'm going to talk more about the sacral chakra, if you've ever heard that, because that is the energy center that deals with the reproductive system. But in talking about that, I have to address sometimes the root chakra. Now, these energy centers that I'm talking about is the Sanskrit word for spinning wheel. So they're like this energy center, this spiral, and is where the energy flows and allows the energy to flow up through our bodies. Okay? So remember on the ambulances, you see the wings and the snake going around the staff. All right. Some may call it Kundalini, the snake. But that snake is representing energy, starting at the base and moving up. So you have the root chakra, which is your chakra for survival. Your right to be here is your body. You have your sacral chakra, which deals with your joy, your pleasure, your sensual side, your sexual side, but your right to have emotions and feelings. Then there's your solar plexus in your stomach area, your power center, your right, your courage to take action, your heart chakra, relationships, your right to receive love and be loved, your throat chakra, your right to communicate, to express yourself, to be heard, your third eye chakra, of course, as knowledge, your right to know, not second guessing yourself, but your right to know as your intuition center, your GPS center. And your crown chakra is your connection to the overall oneness of all. So if all is flowing appropriately, you're feeling balanced. If one is off balance, it can cause things or cause you to respond to things differently based upon the imprint or how this chakra is now functioning. So going back to the basics, that root chakra. Okay, this is the root. This chakra is responsible for you feeling safe and feeling secure. Your basic needs being met, food, clothing, and shelter. The next chakra above is the sacral chakra. And this chakra is your right to have feelings, emotions. This is your self-identity. This is your sexual expression. this is where life force energy is held. So often what is occurring, if a person is not feeling safe, it's going to impact their sexual awareness, how they respond to sex, how they view sex, what type of emotion comes with that, depending on how healthy this chakra is. Now, when we talk about the psychology of sex, we talk about our overall humanism and how we got here, and understanding really the sacredness of the act of sex that's not promoted, to make us sometimes think sex is taboo or wrong. But this is where life is created. At that point of the egg and the sperm, light is a combustion. That's why I'm saying we're light, we're energy. So at that point in time, light, we're created, magical, powerful beings created in the womb of a woman. Powerful. Even if we go back to the origin of the first woman. So within that, we've had a lot of trauma, disconnection, not understanding our power. Because often we don't always feel safe in life, safe in relationships, and not saying we're not having good lives or beautiful things are not occurring. But understand sometimes we're even carrying a trauma imprint that we're not even aware of. One, even going into this whole developmental stage of the sacral chakra that I'll go into detail in other workshops in which when I do chakra coaching with clients, each chakra has a developmental stage. So your sacral chakra is that developmental stage around 7 to 14. This is when you become aware that I have a body. I have different body parts. This is where the development may come. Some young ladies develop faster. They go from being flat-chested to now being fully developed. At that point, it's an imprint on how people respond. Because now if you're looking like a woman, people look at you different. Or now you realize there is more attention on you because of these body parts. Then it becomes a thing of body identity. Do you feel comfortable with that? Do you feel uncomfortable with that? Do you feel shamed? Or do you realize, oh, I can get attention if I over-express myself in this body part? So you learn to maneuver within that. Now, also, the sacral chakra developmental stage is about understanding emotions and feelings. Because often what occurs later on in life, if this was an area that as a child, you never had a right to your feelings, meaning seen and not be heard. Or did anybody ever ask you how you felt about the situation or what was occurring? And you never understand how to develop a sense of self of your feelings and that you have a right to have feelings. It impedes your communication. How do you communicate to a person, I feel this way when you do this, if you're not sure how you feel? So going into feelings of the sacral chakra and sex, depending on our upbringing, but many of us in the culture of our religion doctrination. You think about it, when it comes to sex, a lot of our knowledge or what was told was either don't come in this house and get pregnant, don't come in the house pregnant, or don't have sex until you get married. Or just all the negative things that you were told to make you not do it, that cause shame, that cause guilt. So within that negative emotion, or if at some point in time of this time from birth up to around 14, that there was any type of sexual molestation or abuse or sexual trauma, there is now another imprint of not feeling safe. And now how you feel about your body and how you feel about sex. So if there becomes an imbalance in this chakra, it can cause you to be over-sexualized or under-sexualized, meaning you may have sex or have a drive to have sex all the time with no boundaries, anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Or to the opposite extreme of, I don't even want it. I have no sex drive, no libido. What we want is a balance in between of a healthy one and understanding our feelings and being able to communicate it, because not being able to do so causes energy to become trapped, whether it's guilt, feeling unworthy, whether it becomes shame or any other trauma that may occur in this area, meaning things such as abortions, miscarriages, stillbirth. All of those things are traumatic. even going back to relationships with mother. Issues within the reproductive area and cycles often tie back to mother and daughter relationships. So now you're thinking, okay, this is a lot. Yes, it is that we have not been aware of, we have not taught. So without the appropriate knowledge and support to help this energy center be active in a healthy way, it can cause imbalances, which can impede relationships. The imprints that were received from birth up into this age, even on relationships, sets a tone on how we move forward. How your parents' relationship, what you were taught, what you were even taught about sex that was taught to you, or you just caught because after you see how people interact, this is what I do. This is how I do it. Or if I've been violated and nobody did anything and act as if nothing happened, this is just what happens. This is what I'm worthy of. So again, so as you age and now you're dealing with adult issues, you're still impacted by the trauma from early on, or the imprints, because everything is not traumatic, but the imprints that now have layers over time of situation and how you respond and lack of trust and maybe hurt and pain and second guessing yourself, that how your body is responding and how it can respond is the infertility, the menstrual cycle issues, complicated pregnancies, and down to the last line again, inability to have orgasms or not receiving orgasms. Why? We've disconnected from our bodies. So summing it back around and summing it up and understanding how important an orgasm is, because it's just deeper than an orgasm. Because if you're not present, and we talk about holistic modalities and being present and mindfulness, do we bring mindfulness in it? Well, so when we talk about, well, what do I do if this is occurring? If I am having issues embracing this feminine side, my sexual side, and my sensual side, because mind you, being sensual, ladies, as we talk about reclaiming the feminine energy, does not mean sexual. But because of some of the traumas and that we're operating in sometimes masculine energy, we're suppressing the feminine energy. And so there becomes a traffic jam, because a lot of times if you're a single parent, female, African-American female, we're in survival mode. So to say that if we're in survival mode and not feeling safe, or we're having to provide, where is the sensuality? We're out here trying to fight. We're trying to deal with the world provide. Sensuality is not a priority. So that's why I asked in the beginning, when's the last time you had joy and pleasure? Even when's the last time you dressed up to present yourself and show up in your feminine energy? Regardless of how you identify yourself or your sexual preference, there is a sense of presence in who you are and conscious of your presence when you are around people. But often we're disconnected. We don't think about it. We're not caring about the sensual side. We're not soft. We're not flowing. We're not allowing things to be. We're trying to control. We're in survival, or I'm not safe. So therefore you may be having sex, but are you having orgasms? Are you receiving pleasure? Are you there physically, but not? Or are you there and you're exchanging energy? You're feeling safe and secure. You're feeling sensual. You're aware of your body. You embrace your body and can be present. Present, not, I have to go wash the dishes. What is he doing? What did he do last night? I don't know if this is what I want. All that monkey chatter will not allow you to be present, to fully enjoy orgasm. So yes, and now as you see, as I summarize everything and understand the importance of our health, because even the simple practice of an orgasm is healthy. It's healthy for you. So it doesn't even mean you have to have a partner, but understanding that there are parts of life, as they teach in the Tantra practices, that day-to-day living should be orgasmic, meaning there should be pleasure, there should be bliss, there should be joy, and you should be walking around with a happy yoni. But if not, we have some angry vajayjays. And there's a lot of anger that's being harnessed there. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain. So if we want to resolve the physical things, we got to resolve this, and we have to resolve this. And so that is where holistic modalities and holistic therapy comes in to help you connect women to your mind, body, and spirit, to be that sensual being, to be soft, to feel safe, to be able to express that side without guilt, without shame, and feel confident and know that you're worthy of love and can give love, and you have a right to express what you want, how you like it, and what you need and what you don't need, and trust yourself and know that you are connected to one. You are the divine feminine being that begins life. You are life. So I thank you for this and hope that you guys will follow me on my Instagram, The Chakra Therapist, Facebook page. You can find my business at Shakti Wellness and Yoga. I offer many workshops in helping women embrace the feminine, but also other modalities and help you to have an integrated practice if you're a clinician, or if you're just wanting to find some information on how to integrate yourself, as well as having a happy, healthy sexual life. And at the end of the day, an orgasm a day will keep the doctor and the therapist away. So thank you. I appreciate this. Look forward to experiencing and sharing knowledge with you again. Blessings.